It was past midnight in Abuja when the sirens broke the silence. A private hospital in Wustu was suddenly alive with whispers and emergency lights. A young woman, barely conscious, was wheeled in. Her name was Grace Okonkwo. Just 25, she was known for her lavish lifestyle, viral pictures, and powerful lovers. But tonight, she didn't look like a big babe. She looked like a girl hanging between life and death. Nurses whispered, "She's the one from Instagram, Grace Dollars." The doctor frowned at her bruises and sunken eyes. What happened to this girl? But Grace couldn't speak. Her body was weak, and her soul was tired. Outside the hospital, two young women waited, weeping silently. They had seen too many like her, girls who lived fast and fell hard. That night, Abuja wasn't glittering. It was morning. But this wasn't just tragedy, it was a lesson. Before she lost consciousness, Grace's mind drifted to where it all began, Coal Camp, Enugu. A place far from lights, far from power, but full of memories. She had come a long way, from Akpa and Zobo to Dubai and designer bags. But maybe, just maybe, the price of luxury was too high. Grace Okonkwo was born in Coal Camp, Enugu, an area forgotten by politicians and remembered only when floods or sickness struck. She was the first daughter of a widow who sold Akpa and Zobo by the roadside to feed 3 children. Life wasn't easy. The days were long, and the nights were hot. They fetched water from a broken pipe and shared one mosquito net between 4 people. But Grace stood out. Even as a teenager, people said, "This one fine like film star." Her smooth, dark skin and almond eyes made heads turn. Her mother, Mama Grace, warned her every day, "Beauty attracts danger. Use your head." But in a place where survival was a struggle, beauty felt like a blessing, maybe even an escape. At 20, Grace entered a local beauty contest wearing a borrowed gown. She won. The prize? A free photo shoot and a one-way ticket to Abuja. Her mother cried tears of joy and fear. She hugged Grace and said, "Don't forget where you're coming from." Grace promised. But the truth was, she was tired of poverty. She wanted more than Akpa, more than fetching water. She wanted a new life, and that new life waited in Abuja. The first thing Grace noticed about Abuja was the silence. No loud horns, no water vendors shouting pure water. Just smooth roads and cars that looked like spaceships. She stayed with Chioma, an old friend who lived in a cramped one-room apartment in Nyanya. They shared a bed, cooked noodles on a single burner, and drank water from recycled bottles. For months, Grace tried to hustle clean. She went to different organizations and companies to apply for a job, but no one was ready to hire a girl with no educational background. She smiled, begged, and prayed. Nobody called her back. She started ushering at weddings and product launches. At one, a man whispered, "I can give you 200K just for dinner." She refused. That night, she and Chioma ate Gary for dinner. After another failed audition, Chioma said something that stayed with her. "Babe, this your hustle no-go work for Abuja. Big girls they chop life with packaging, not sweat." That evening, Chioma introduced her to some quiet but wealthy girls, none of them famous, yet all living large. One had just returned from Dubai. Another showed off her new Benz. When Grace asked how, they smiled. "Al-Hajis," Chioma whispered. "They pay well. No stress." And so, the door opened. Grace's first client wasn't a stranger in the shadows. He was Alhaji Musa Bello, a respected 55-year-old politician with 3 wives and a reputation for spending big on side chicks. He was calm, polite, and always smelled of foreign cologne. That night, he bought Grace suya, wine, and a brand new iPhone 14. "I like simple girls," he said. "You remind me of my first wife." He gave her $1,000 after one dinner. Grace was shocked. Nobody had ever given her that kind of money for just sitting and laughing. A week later, he rented a 1-bedroom apartment for her in Job. He called her baby girl and told her to stay off social media. For the first time, Grace had her own space. A fridge. A bed with clean sheets. She sent her mother 100K and lied that she had gotten a big modeling deal. Her mother prayed and danced. Grace cried silently. Al-Haji promised her a car and even hinted at opening a boutique. She thought she had made it. She wore wigs worth her mother's yearly income and posted selfies with captions like, "Soft life or nothing." But beneath the smiles, something darker was beginning to grow. Months passed. Alhaji Musa grew distant. He stopped calling as often, cancelled their Paris trip. One night, he sent a short message. "My wife suspects. Let's pause for now." Grace waited for another text. It never came. Heartbroken but wiser, she called Chioma in tears. "He dumped me," she whispered. Chioma didn't cry with her. She only said, "That's why you need multiple streams of income," and Alhajis. Soon, Grace joined a new group, the elite Abuja Big Babes. There was Zainab, who never repeated outfits, Tonya, who had a senator under her control, and Ayatan, who barely talked but carried the latest iPhone before it even launched. They introduced Grace to the code, a set of rules for sugar baby success. 1. Never fall in love. 2. Always keep receipts. 3. Never get pregnant. 4. Always level up. They partied at secret rooftops, dined at 5-star hotels, and flew to Dubai with coded sponsors. Grace became Grace Dollars online. She posted without tagging locations and used filters that made her skin glow like gold. She wasn't just surviving anymore, she was winning. But the deeper she got into the game, the more she lost pieces of herself. Grace now lived in a service apartment in Guarimpa with marble floors and a 24/7 driver. She drank imported wine and wore bone-straight wigs that cost more than her mother's rent. Every week, a new Alhaji appeared, each one older, richer, and more dangerous. But the soft life came with rules. No loud behavior, no falling in love, and absolutely no babies. One night, after returning from a boat cruise in Lagos, Grace fell ill. She vomited for days and couldn't stand up without dizziness. Chioma rushed her to a private hospital. The doctor's voice was calm, "You're 2 months pregnant." Panic set in. "This can't happen," she cried. Her current Alhaji was a top official with presidential links. A scandal would ruin him and maybe kill her. Zainab offered advice. "You have to take it out. That's the only option." Grace hesitated. It was her first pregnancy. A part of her wanted to keep it. But in her world, pregnancy without permission was betrayal. She chose to abort. The procedure went wrong. She bled for days. And for the first time in Abuja, Grace faced the kind of pain money couldn't fix. She survived, but something inside her didn't. The soft life had turned sour. After the abortion, Grace tried to go back to normal. She smiled again, wore makeup, and went to brunch. But something had changed. She no longer laughed the same. Her eyes looked distant. Nights became harder. She started hearing voices. "I'm still inside you," the voice whispered. She told Chioma, who waved it off. "Babe, not trauma. Go to a spa. Relax." But the spa didn't help. The voice grew louder. She began seeing shadows and hearing a baby cry at midnight. Her walls dripped blood in dreams. One night, she woke up screaming, her bedsheet soaked with sweat. Desperate, she visited a church in Kabwa. The prophet looked at her and said, "You have taken a life that wasn't yours to take. It's following you." Afraid, she went to a herbalist. He gave her soaps and warned, "If you continue, more blood will follow." But money had a grip. Her rent was due. Her mother needed drugs, and her followers expected luxury. So, Grace ignored the signs. She met a new Alhaji, young, handsome, and reckless. He drove a Rolls-Royce and promised her a Range Rover. But he also had secrets, dark secrets, and Grace was about to enter a deeper trap. Alhaji Malik Ibrahim was different. He was 40, single, and owned oil blocks. His voice was calm, but his eyes hid something dangerous. When Grace met him, he handed her a stack of dollars and said, "No drama, just loyalty." He rented her a new apartment in Maitama and took her to Ghana, Paris, and Morocco within 2 months. Grace thought she'd hit the jackpot. Malik didn't ask questions. He didn't even touch her for weeks. But one night, she walked in on him talking to 3 masked men in her living room. They were discussing a girl, another babe, who had talked too much. Malik ended the call, looked at her, and smiled. "Stay loyal. That's all I ask." Fear crawled up her spine. But the next day, he gave her $3 million for shopping. Fear faded. Then things got darker. Malik took her to rituals. He said it was just for protection. He gave her beads to wear, forbidden foods to avoid, and midnight baths with blood like herbs. She asked no questions. But after each ritual, her skin glowed unnaturally, and her followers tripled. She had sold something, she didn't know what, but it was already too late. The price of luxury had become spiritual. Chioma had always been the sharp one, smart, bold, and streetwise. But she got too comfortable. She started blackmailing one of her alhajis, a senator, with screenshots and threats. One night, she disappeared. Grace called her line, switched off. She messaged her, no reply. Then the news broke, a young woman had been found in a gutter near Apo, face battered beyond recognition. Zainab confirmed it. It's Chioma. The group went silent. They didn't attend her funeral. They didn't ask questions. In their world, grief was private, and fear was louder than tears. Grace broke down. She was my friend. Ayatand warned her. Emotions kill in this game. You better clean your face. Grace tried, but Chioma's death haunted her. She stopped posting online. She deleted her birthday videos. She felt empty, like a ghost among the living. One night, she heard a knock on her door. No one was there. Just a whisper, "You're next." She ran to a pastor, crying, "I want to live this life." The pastor said, "You can't serve two masters. You've eaten with demons. Now they want dessert." She left the church with trembling legs. The life was no longer golden. It was a curse wrapped in makeup. Grace decided to quit. She blocked Malik's number and told her followers she was going off social media. She booked a flight to Enugu and packed her wigs, shoes, and secrets. But quitting wasn't easy. Malik found her before the airport. He sat in her apartment like he owned it. "Leaving?" he asked with a cold smile. She nodded. "You made a vow. You can't leave." Grace pleaded. "I'm tired. I want peace." Malik laughed. "There's no peace after blood money. You belong to us now." That night, she was forced to attend one last ritual, this one deeper than the rest. They gave her something to drink. She blacked out. When she woke up, she was in a hospital bed. Now, as her breathing slowed and her body gave up, Grace whispered, tell them it's not worth it." But her voice was too faint. And so, the girl who once glowed brighter than Abuja lights faded into shadows, a warning wrapped in a tragic end. The news broke early the next morning. Abuja socialite pronounced dead in private hospital. Grace's death shocked everyone. She had collapsed after attending a lavish party hosted by one of the most powerful alhajis in the city. Some said it was an overdose, others whispered it was internal bleeding. But the truth remained hidden, buried beneath lies and fear. Her friends were silent. Zainab locked herself in her apartment. Ayatan didn't answer her phone. Back in Enugu, Grace's mother cried uncontrollably. The daughter who once promised to lift her out of poverty had returned in a sealed coffin. No one from Abuja came to the burial. No friends. No alhajis. No explanation. Villagers whispered. She died from enjoyment, they said. This is why our girls should stay home. The once vibrant girl who wore Gucci and danced in Dubai was now a cautionary tale. Her death shook the circle of big babes. Reality hit harder than any heartbreak. They were not invincible. That day, something changed. Not in public, but deep inside. A quiet fear began to grow. Zainab had always been the boldest of them all. Loud, stylish, fearless. But Grace's death shattered that image. She stopped posting online. Her phone was full of messages from alhajis she no longer wanted to see. Every ping made her heart race. She sat in her luxury apartment, staring at her designer shoes and untouched shopping bags. Nothing excited her anymore. She remembered the first time she entered Abuja, wide-eyed, hungry for wealth. She had made it, or so she thought. But now, the emptiness was louder than the applause. Her health started failing. Constant headaches, loss of appetite, panic attacks in the middle of the night. She thought about leaving, but where would she go? Who would she be without the lifestyle? She tried to reach out to Zainab and Ayatan, but they were dealing with their own demons. The bond they once had turned into silent avoidance. Zainab knew she needed help, but asking for help felt like weakness. She had spent so long pretending everything was perfect that the truth now felt like shame. And yet, the silence kept choking her. She was trapped, not by money, but by the life she built around it. Ayatand had always been calculated. She never let emotions lead her choices. She had made more money than the rest combined but was also the most careful. After Grace's death, she knew the game was over. She booked a one-way flight to London and left Abuja without telling anyone. No goodbye, no last party. She had quietly sold her car and leased out her apartment. For the first time in years, she wore flat shoes and carried a small bag. In London, Ayatand rented a modest flat and started over. She enrolled in an online course and worked part-time in a retail store. She lived simply, no designer clothes, no late-night calls from strangers. Sometimes she missed the life, flying first class, staying in five-star hotels. But she didn't miss the anxiety, the constant fear, the sleepless nights. She remembered girls who never got a chance to start over. Ayatand kept her past to herself. No one in London knew who she used to be, and that was exactly how she wanted it. It wasn't easy, but she was free, finally. She knew one thing for sure: if she ever went back, it would be on her own terms, not for money or men. Time passed, and the buzz around Grace's death faded. A new crop of girls filled Abuja's nightclubs, fresh, hungry, and unaware. The old circle was broken. Zainab checked herself into therapy. Ayatand built a quiet life abroad. No one talked about the past. They carried the lessons like scars, deep, invisible, unforgettable. But something beautiful came from the pain. Zainab wrote a short article about her experience. It wasn't dramatic, just honest. She posted it on a women's blog under a fake name. It went viral. Emails poured in from young girls, thanking her for opening their eyes. Some changed their paths. Others asked for mentorship. It wasn't redemption. It wasn't fame. But it mattered. Some people still chase the glitter. But those who know better, choose wisely. Because in a world where everything shines, the real luxury is peace of mind and living to enjoy it. My dear viewers, this is not fiction. This is happening every day. Don't let Instagram deceive you. The price of luxury is sometimes blood, pain, and shame. Use your head. Build your future. Hustle smart. Because not every big babe story ends in a Benz. Some end in a body bag. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.